house is old. That was just shocking. Shouldn't be as loose as it is. No fuses, no nothing. This is going to be an absolute nightmare here. Today's a completely different day. We are helping rescue an installation, and we don't do this very often, and especially on 1680 property. It's quite aged property, and what we have is a lot of extension leads, a lot of electronical items being plugged in. It's quite senior couple, but they're gadget lovers, and they both love the gadgets. And right in this house, I show you what we are doing to help rescue the installation. This is not only like an EICR, this is beyond this, is actually going and doing. We will remove all the loads, test for the installation resistance test, checking the fixed wiring, removing the sockets, loads on the fuse connection units, then doing the installation check. We only aiming to verify the fixed installation. If it's all good, then what we're going to do is we'll start plugging all the loads to see if it's introduced any faults, and that will tell us if the fixed wiring is good or not. So come in and I'll show you how to do this. A good work wouldn't start without proper sip of a coffee. Sorry, tea actually. On that note, I'm reducing my coffee. I'll tell you that the client has an experience in making a decent cup of tea. And the collection of the spoon is amazing. Okay, so like in this occasion, I'll show you what we're going to do. So if this is like unswitched, so we're going to pull the fuse out, that will disconnect the line. And we actually need to remove the neutral load out of the, the termination. And we're going to leave the earth in, because we might going to do an earth continuity. I've got a switch fused spur, and had this screwdriver for about 3 years now. So today will be an ultimate test how long it will last. So by switching off the switch, we're isolating the supply. We shouldn't assume that we know which one is the load side. This usually down on the bottom left is the load neutral. Well, I know because it's flexible cable going out, so I know that this is a load. That's how we are leaving for the initial testing. And also, we're just unscrewing every socket to look behind. Check the oxidization of the cables, check the termination. This is more of a visual inspection just to understand, like, look, the cables just came out. The all earths just came out like that. So we know that this age of the installation carry with them a lot of surprises. So what we're going to do is we're just making sure that the cables are properly terminated. But what we might do is we might decide to actually remove it completely and put them into a Wago, but one bit at a time. So when we deal with like really period properties, these houses would only have one socket in the room. It usually was a single socket. I know because I've been doing this for some time. And if I see a surface mounted pattress with two cables or one cable, I'll give you both examples, like this one, I just know that this was additional. I'm just going to put my hands below the socket and I can feel the cables. So if this was a conversion of the single to double, the cables should not come from the bottom. They would rather come from like the wall. That's not this case. So that was added. I believe that the socket in this room was on that wall, right in the middle, because that would make sense kind of for this type of room. We can't get to that socket because we've got built up furniture. Here is the cable. In my opinion, there is a single socket right behind this unit. We will go as far as we physically can without any disruption to the fabric of the property, because that's the idea before we do actually rewire. So what we're doing is taking everything apart, then we will energize the installation just to see if there might be an odd extension lead still having power that we failed to see where it's coming from. So, but can you see this extractor fan? It's a bit of a wonky side. We'll look into that as well. Here, conservatory. Right, again, we've got 1, 2, 3 points here. Let's take them apart. This screwdriver lasts for other people, and tell me in the comments how long, if you use Bosch or if you use any other brand and you could recommend, let me know. I'm in the business to replace this bad boy. Sometimes the button is not working, sometimes it is, so I think it's time to get a new one. Oh, that's interesting. Look, neutrals just came out. That shouldn't happen. We need to disconnect the loads. So that's already done. But these two bad boys, they have to go back in. That should not happen. Completely loose. You can tell that no one has been to this socket for quite some time because the debris on this piece of wood has been here for many years. And it's the temperature would loosen the termination, because every socket works at the temperature. Normal operating temperature for cables about 20 to 30 degrees. But if the installation is not properly designed, the cables will be much hotter. So imagine what we are doing here today is almost like a proper MOT of the whole installation. I speak to a lot of electricians and they don't do many of these. They go in and tell you, hello miss, you have to change your fuse board, give us £1,000, and that's usually what happens. And they don't even go and actually check and verify all the installation. Sounds like Tom found something interesting, but it's not plugged in. Oh yeah, that's a decent cable, that's 2.5. Is it all of that flex here? All of that coil? Yes, I can see one coming here. There's one here, but that's tiny, that's 0.75. And that is going down, around, in, through, and, well, there. And now, hundreds of years of fabric and everything, it's there. Okay, what's behind this wall? Is that the end of the house now? Yeah, I believe, Tom, yes, these cables are coming up here. This must be a system boiler, and obviously just fills up the tanks.
I think it's that.
Yeah, these two. One of these, because it's going up there in the corner.
Oh, right, so is this more of like a data? Like a...
Yeah, I think it's just reading the... Well, we're not heating engineers, but this is just reading a thermostat on the tank. And if it needs the switches, tells the boiler, send me some hot water, and I'll keep it nice and toasty for these clients. So it looks like they're not using the...
I don't know where they plug that in if they do.
Exactly! Can you imagine? The plug would melt. To any plumbers out there, so if you're charging clients to install a new water tank and you put 3 kilowatt immersion heater, yes, a decent cable, cool, that's fine. So the cable is okay, well done to you, as it's a heat resistant cable. But on the 13 amp plug, okay, but do you know that these actually melt over 5 hours as they're being used or something? So that's actually a risk. Shouldn't be doing it. Don't do it, please. You know who you are, don't do it. That should be hardwired on the double pole switch, and that's how it should be. Not like this. Do you expect this elderly person to go in and create, a trip hazard essentially through the staircase or whatever? This is what we are up against. Client doesn't know. They get you into the door and you're doing it for them essentially. So just being a victim of a rookie cowboy. This is a confession. I really love working for an elderly people because they leave things like this everywhere. And look. Oh my God. And my doctor told me I can't have sweets. This is a test to anyone who has been around for longer. Do you know what is this? So, if you know what that is, put in a comment. Be a good electrician. You don't only need to know your electrical bits, you also have to have a good observation skills and to just understand what could happen potentially. Although this socket was the addition, look, it's been done without the grommet, so I think it's the builder's special. Not as bad as this, but yeah, I wasn't recording this because that was just shocking how the outbuilding was connected. Absolutely shocker. Anyway, this is the supply to the old house. 60 amp breaker. That shouldn't be as loose as it is. Interesting. So we've got a bit of a problem here. This is the main fuse carrier, and the problem is that this thing was pulled off quite some time ago. It's a bit dusty. It was just left in. The reason why this isn't safe is because that's the main isolator switch for the whole house. And someone has connected this twin and earth into a fuse and into a socket. And the client told me, this is the socket that never turns off.
Wait a minute!
Well, of course not, because it's hardwired directly to your main fusing hammer, which is not how it should be. Okay, perfect. So at least it's off now by the switch. I'll see if I can just temporarily fix it by gluing this back in for the time being. I'm gonna go and get some proper glue and put this back on just to fix it for the client and just let them know what we did. look at this monstrosity. But this is a double socket on 1.5 cable. It appears to come from the top. Then we've got another cable looping over to supply this switch, and we've got the cable looping from here to supply this switch. Although these two are on the fuse switch, which is kind of alright. But now we are spurred from sockets using 1.5 cable. It is okay, it's still allowable, but look at this 6mm cable. You've got 2 times 1.5 just spurred from. No fuses, no nothing. And we don't even know where it goes. At this point, well, it appears that maybe it's going down. It's quite a boxing. Time to look into the start of this day. Looks like my head torch needs a new battery, so that one's in. And trust me, be careful when you put this battery charged, or well, this charge in your pocket. What I had is I put this once with the keys in my pocket, and the key ring shorted the battery. My key ring basically burned my trousers. It was no fun experience, especially when the client was like, "Greg, are you okay?" And I'm stripping down without even telling what's happening, because there was no time. My ass was burning. These are the 2 short cables. That's another extension. 16, that's the circuit, and 16. We cannot keep this 32 because this is just doing dodgy stuff, and this is not a cooker. We need to change this to like 20 amps. These are the lights disconnected last time. Yeah, there's no power because the fuse is pulled out. So I'm gonna go and check the fuse if we can put it back in. We could potentially change this to 20 amps because customer observed that these were tripping, and I know there are no rings within this property. There are just like lots of spares. So we just want to keep it safe. But if we were to change to 20 amps, this will still be good. That's all I had last time I've been here. Let's do it.
One eternity later.
We now replace all the sockets, and let's ZS test to commence. And it's 5:15 now. 161. 160. Please. 163. Well, these ones should be okay because they were on a separate circuit. 161. 160. 165. 161. So we came on to do testing, just want to make sure that we got principles correct. And although there's no continuity on the CPC on the ring, I put everything back on, change all the sockets, only to realize that I didn't actually check the earthing system. So when I did test 160 ohms, that's TT. I assumed TT because the actual main box is round around the corner around the commercial back estate, but actually it's TNCS. Well, let me show you actually. So I'm like, oh yeah, yes, it's TT. Let's just test from socket to socket. It was 160, 164, 162, 161, and I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty confident this is what it's supposed to be because like it's consistent. So let me show you. It's this bad boy. The twin and earth 16mm that's leaving that behind in the fabric of the building ends up here in the kitchen. Right there. Doesn't have a separate earth that it should be, so it's disconnected. Because someone, I'll show you, and it's been a long time ago. So they just put this lamp on. So client perhaps just asked, oh, can I just have a socket here? So that's what they did. Hook up on the load side of this fuse. They fused it down to do the socket. Cool. So I just put my test it there and I got like 0.42. Now, what's going on? That's definitely not TT. And at that point I realized it's TNCS. but with the whole house didn't have the earth. It was just relying on the bonding from gas. So essentially, technically, it worked as a TT. The bonding gas goes in the ground. So that's your rod. But fortunately, we don't just accept and leave it. We test it and we check it. And that's what we did. We needed to upgrade the supply anyway, but now this is like priority. So here we go. Tom is just re-verifying. Tom, what are you getting now?
0.75 most places.
Okay,
the
0.7.
highest was in the study, 0.86.
0.86. Yeah, it's the spur of the spur pot potentially. Yeah, that's what we did for this house. We actually lowered, because it was on 32 amp circuit breakers, we lowered down to 20 and 16 amps to keep the cables safe, because there are so many spurs of the spurs. But here we are. Tom is just finalizing all the tests just to double check ourselves. And we're done for today. So conclusion, the house is old. Some of the wiring has been here for quite some time. We can't see any aluminium cables. Actually, the stranded copper wires, so that's about, what, 30 plus years old. Additions throughout the years, plenty of them. There is a couple of circuits which are pretty good. Lights are supposedly quite alright. Some cables have been damaged, we disconnected them. But overall, I am much more surprised positively how well it turned out, because I was thinking that this is going to be an absolute nightmare here. So yes, it's going to be now 10 hours as we've been here. So yeah, pretty long day. But we do this, we don't give up. Okay, we're so happy that the cleaner is coming in tomorrow, because we've left a little bit of mess. But thank you. See you soon. Give us a like and subscribe to get notified about all the content that we do. We share this with you so you know how we do things. You might learn from it, or you may just enjoy watching us. Thank you. Have a great day.